There is a computer program running in a server farm in Wenatchee, Washington, that knows more about your life than you do. It knows the price of the coffee you drank this morning. It knows the interest rate on your mortgage. It knows the pension fund that holds your future hostage. You believe you live in a democracy. You believe you participate in a free market. You believe that when you choose between an iPhone and a Samsung, or a Ford and a Chevy, you are exercising free will. You are wrong. You are walking through a meticulously constructed simulation, a hallway of mirrors where every reflection is owned by the same entity. While you are distracted by political theater, while you are fighting in the comment sections of social media over culture wars manufactured in a boardroom, a silent coup has already taken place. It wasn't televised. There were no tanks in the streets. There was only a signature on a document and the hum of a server rack. This is the secret playbook they don't want you to see. The mechanism of control is no longer a crown or a dictator. It is an algorithm. Its name is Aladdin. Its master is BlackRock, and its objective is the total financialization of human existence. Wake up. We are going to deconstruct the cage. To understand the architecture of your prison, we must go back to the moment the key was turned. The year is 1988. A man named Larry Fink is sitting in the wreckage of his own ambition. Fink was a star at First Boston. He had added $1 billion to the firm's bottom line. He was the king of Wall Street, pioneering the concept of mortgage-backed securities, the very weapon that would later blow up the world in 2008. But in 1986, he made a mistake. He miscalculated interest rates. He lost $100 million in a single quarter. He was humiliated, ousted. But in the cold silence of that failure, Larry Fink had an epiphany, a Machiavellian realization that would change the course of history. He realized that Wall Street was gambling, and the house always wins eventually. He didn't want to be the gambler anymore. He wanted to be the house itself. He wanted to be the architect of the casino itself. He realized that the ultimate power wasn't in making money, it was in managing risk. If you could see the risk before anyone else, if you could quantify the future, you could own it. So he founded BlackRock. But BlackRock wasn't just an asset manager. It was a technology company disguised as a bank. Fink built a central nervous system for the global economy. He called it Aladdin, Asset, Liability, Debt, and Derivative Investment Network. Fast forward to 2008. The financial world is burning. Lehman Brothers has collapsed. Panic is absolute. The Federal Reserve, the most powerful economic institution on earth, has no idea what to do. They don't know which assets are toxic. They're flying blind. So who do they call? They call Larry Fink. The US government hired BlackRock to clean up the mess. They gave BlackRock the keys to the kingdom because BlackRock was the only entity that had the data. In that moment, the corporation ceased to be a private company and fused with the state. The Leviathan was born. Now, let's look at the mechanism. How does this algorithm actually own your soul? It operates on 3 pillars of control. The first is what I call the illusion of choice. Walk into a grocery store. You see hundreds of brands. You think this is competition. It is not. Look at the shareholder structure of Coca-Cola, then look at Pepsi. Look at Pfizer, then look at Moderna. Look at CNN, then look at Fox News. At the top of the ledger, you will find the same names: BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. This is called common ownership, when the same institution owns the controlling stake in all competitors within an industry. Competition ceases to exist. Why would Coke lower prices to fight Pepsi if the same owner profits from both? They wouldn't. Instead, they coordinate. They raise prices together. They stagnate wages together. This is why the cost of living rises while the quality of life falls. You are not the customer. You are the yield. The second pillar is Aladdin itself. Aladdin is not just a database. It is a predictive engine. It monitors over $21 trillion in assets. That is more than the GDP of the United States. It runs Monte Carlo simulations, thousands of potential futures every single day. It simulates wars, pandemics, interest rate hikes, and climate disasters. When BlackRock makes a move, they aren't guessing. They have already run the simulation. They know the outcome because they are often the ones pressing the button to initiate the event. This creates an information asymmetry so vast that no individual investor, no small business, and no sovereign nation can compete. They are playing chess with a supercomputer while you are playing checkers in the dark. But the third pillar is the most insidious. This is where the psychology gets dark. This is where they enter your mind. It is called ESG, environmental, social, and governance. On the surface, it sounds noble. Who doesn't want a clean environment? Who doesn't want social justice? But in the hands of a Machiavellian power player, virtue is just another lever of control. ESG is a social credit score for corporations. Here is how the extortion works. BlackRock controls the capital. If a CEO wants investment, if they want their stock price to stay high, they must bow to the algorithm. They must raise their ESG score. To do that, they must adopt specific hiring practices. They must push specific cultural narratives in their marketing. They must censor specific types of speech. Have you ever wondered why every major corporation suddenly adopts the exact same political talking points at the exact same time? Why beer companies, car manufacturers, and razor blade companies are suddenly lecturing you on social politics? It's not because they care, it's because the algorithm demands it. Larry Fink writes a letter to CEOs and the world changes. He explicitly stated, behaviors are going to have to change, and we have to force behaviors. Force behaviors. Let that sink in. They are using your own retirement money, your 401k, your pension, to buy shares in companies and then use the voting power of those shares to force those companies to implement policies that you hate. They are using your money to disenfranchise you. This is the ultimate gaslight. They have financialized ideology. They have monetized compliance. So what is the end game? The end game is the transition from ownership to access. You will own nothing, and you will be happy. That is not a conspiracy theory. It is a business model. If BlackRock buys all the single-family homes, which they are doing, you become a permanent renter. If they control the energy grid through ESG mandates, you pay the price they set. If they control the food supply through agricultural consolidation, you eat what they serve. They are building a subscription-based reality, a feudal system where they are the lords, Aladdin is the sheriff, and you are the serf, paying rent for the privilege of breathing. But knowledge without action is just trivia. Now that you see the strings, how do you cut them? How do you operate in a world rigged against you? You must adopt the mindset of a sovereign. First, you must understand that in a system of total surveillance, privacy is power, but in a system of total financialization, optionality is freedom. The defense against a centralized monolith is decentralization. You must divest from the beast. If your money is in a standard index fund, you are funding your own enslavement. You are giving Larry Fink your proxy vote. Look for non-ESG funds. Look for direct ownership of assets. If you do not hold the bearer instrument, whether that is physical gold, cold storage Bitcoin, or land with a deed in your hand, you do not own it. You merely have a claim on a database entry that can be deleted. Second, you must reject the brand. Stop identifying with corporations. The psychological hook they use is tribalism. They want you to identify as an Apple person or a Nike person. This makes you predictable. It makes you easy to manipulate. Be a ghost to their marketing algorithms. Buy utility, not identity. When you stop signaling status through consumption, you break the dopamine loop they use to herd you. Third, build parallel systems. The most Machiavellian move you can make is to become ungovernable, not by breaking laws, but by becoming self-sufficient. Every dollar you spend in the local economy, every trade you make peer-to-peer, every asset you hold outside the banking system is a glitch in their matrix. They rely on volume. They rely on the herd moving in unison. When you step out of the stream, you become invisible to the algorithm. Aladdin cannot predict the actions of a man who does not rely on debt. Aladdin cannot control a woman who produces her own resources. Debt is the chain, consumption is the cage, attention is the currency. BlackRock wants all three. Give them nothing. This is not just about economics. This is a war for the human soul. They are trying to turn the population into a standing reserve of data and yield. The silent coup has happened. The algorithm is running. It is calculating your worth right now. It is betting on your compliance. Prove it wrong. The world belongs to the bold, the awake, and the ruthless. The sheep get slaughtered. The wolves get fed. Which one are you? If you want to learn the deeper strategies of power, the tactics of psychological dominance that the elites use to maintain control, and how to reverse engineer them for your own ascent, you are in the right place. We do not deal in hope here. We deal in leverage. Subscribe to Dark Influence Code. Join the sovereign mind. The simulation is breaking. It's time to take control.